So I'm interested in, you guys have both talked about consuming content, consuming media. And when I say media, I just mean like content in your earbuds. Doesn't have to be news style. How do you decide, and maybe both of you can answer this, but how do you decide like, okay, I just heard this thing, it sounds good, I need to research that, or maybe even implement it? How do you kind of put that in to your world implementation style?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't know. I think, I don't know that I'm that thoughtful about it. There's a handful of sources that I often consume content from, and then as things pique my interest, I'll go deeper. I mean, obviously I'm in the payment space, the fintech space, so there's a few blogs I keep a pretty good pulse on. And there's some podcasts that I really like, right? All In, we talked about, is a big one. So I'm sort of always kind of just listening to what they're talking about. How I Built This is one I've recently started listening to, which is actually an NPR podcast,
Yeah,
I believe.
I think it's too overproduced, but yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
It is really good stories. Like I love the Panera one.
Yeah.
I love the Sarah Blakely one. Yeah, they have some good content in there.
Yeah.
The Peloton
Coinbase one.
Good.
I'm actually listening to the Coinbase one right now. I'm a little late on that one. That was a month or two ago, but yeah, Brian Armstrong from Coinbase. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm a Wall Street Journal subscriber, so I read a lot. There's a couple, exchange section. I tend to read the whole thing on most weekends. So yeah, I don't know. I just think there's a couple blogs, certainly the things like TechCrunch and things like that I consume, and they tend to be just in my sort of world, right? And yeah, and I would say, I have some friends who are very, very different from me, so I like to hear what they're consuming, and we'll occasionally go into whole other worlds that I don't know a lot about, but may find interesting. So yeah, I don't know. Not super structured.
Tim?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, really, a lot of it is podcast or anything longer form. Just, I mean, I suppose like the Aura Ring was something that I probably never would have heard of. Listened to the founder on This Week in Startups, and I like the longer form, so I can really understand the vision, why they're doing something, what it offers, and I enjoy that aspect of it, which is another reason why I like the All In. Is just it's four guys riffing on different topics, and they don't necessarily have an agenda one way or the other. So I can really have a.
Come on,
I hate
David Sachs has an agenda. Let's be honest.
Yeah, he's the one of all the people that definitely is.
Is it like Pardon the Interruption?
No, they just they get together. Yeah. They have a docket of things that they want to talk about, but
they're all investors, right? I mean, they come at it from a maybe different life cycles of the investor. Like Calacanis focuses on super early stage. Sachs is pure SaaS. You've got the Friedberg is the science guy, and Shamas the public markets guy, right? So they look at the business, politics, current events from sort of a couple different angles, but they're obviously all good friends and some humor and just really smart guys. So
and the thing is, I mean, unfortunately, we're just in a world today, man, that I don't even know who to trust anymore. So, like even when it comes to COVID, that is, I enjoy when they will touch on with Omicron, is that something we need to be worried about? So Friedberg will jump in and give an explanation of, what does the science say? What does the data say? And I feel like I'm just much more informed with a format like that than I am the sky is falling evening news type of platform.
Totally. Yeah.
It is interesting how consuming information in longer form makes you not just more informed, but not just so headline-y based. And so, Adam, I have a journalism background. And so, you're taught to basically tell stories in 90 seconds, right? Or a certain amount of lines in the newspaper, right? And so those are very short pieces of information, which you're trying to keep people engaged the entire time. And the long form of that is, hey, we're going to go deep diving into this, and we might have 20-minute, 30-minute rants about this to get to the answer.
Totally.
And that's a completely different answer. And so you have so much more context, which I think there's so much context missing. I mean, even
Totally.
just with Omicron, not to get into like there's this craziness, but 3 weeks ago it's here, freak out to some. And then now I started hearing it's not as bad as we thought. So it's like, and this is the same organization that provide that information. It's like, all right, like I have a journalism background. Like I don't even know that what you're reporting is like factual in this kind of case. Like it's
totally. I mean, the world is complex, right? And nuance is always required to explain something well. And we live in not only a headline world, but a clickbait world, right? Where I think there's, the whole thing is driven by clicks and views, and that is not a structure that allows for much nuance or complexity. And I think it's really important to really get at the truth of anything, is to be able to have the space to do that. So,
well, I mean, I if somebody wants to have a good time, record or watch. Maybe you're a day drinker, early evening drinker, but make a drinking game out of watching the news. And anytime you hear the word could, possibly, might,
should,
right.
I mean, it just, all that stuff is just, I mean, it's all buzzword, non-factual things that is said in the media, that it's just like, just to give you that shot of dopamine. It's just like, and none of that stuff is true. I mean, it's just, whereas the long form stuff, we can dive into it deeper, and you can't just glaze over something, going back to the apple fritter.
Totally.
Glaze.
You need to glaze over it though. Glazed.
At glazed. You need to get us. Zach, have you thought about having them sponsor your podcast? Glazed. Just an idea.
We'll add them in. We will contact them.
It's a hell of an idea.
Yeah.
Someone who's been directly involved within the startup community for almost a decade, I want to talk to you about a serious pain point: spending a ton of time trying to understand the business landscape in the 757. That's time that should be focused on growing the business. At StartWheel, we're here to help you by compiling all of the news you need to know about in one place. Now there's no need to search multiple websites. Just head to startwheel.org and see for yourself. That's startwheel.org.